Hey guys, Aaron Cybertron Zhang here, and today I'm back with another episode of Road to Ranked, where I climb the Online Series 10 ladder and provide live commentary as I go. In the last episode, we used Wolfe Glick's rank number 1 Eternatus team, so we'll be playing a couple more matches with it today. Yesterday was the first day in quite a while that I hadn't posted video, and yeah, I just kind of had a tough streak of games and honestly needed to take a break from the game for a day. So we're back at it today. Hopefully things go a little bit better, but appreciate you all as always for watching Road to Rank. Series 10 has obviously been really fun, and we've been able to feature a lot of, just really innovative teams and a lot of cool restricted Pokemon as well. So we are about 2/3 of our way through all the restricted Pokemon. There's some that, are obviously strong that I haven't featured yet, and then there are others that are maybe a little bit more niche, but still can have strong teams built around them. So looking forward to diving into those really as we close out, this month, and then obviously start off next month. But yeah, we're just past the midway point for Series 10, so I hope you all have been enjoying it, and yeah, let's just get into things. It's going to be a Zacian team for the first game, which I generally don't mind. They have Gothitelle and Politoed, so that immediately screams late game Perish Song, especially with the Gothitelle trap. And anytime your opponent has Gothitelle, you just have to be very careful about how you lead into it. Okay. The tricky thing about Zacian matchups is that, all of the Pokemon here are pretty solid. I almost want to lead Entei because of the Roar. Entei is actually really solid into 4 of the 6 Pokemon my opponent may lead in Rilla, Goth, Incin, and Zacian. And one really cool play you can make here is self-roaring to switch out your own Pokemon to get rid of their trap from the Gothitelle. So I'm honestly thinking about Entei and Suicune as a lead here. And then Eternatus plus Landers in the back. Regieleki is really tempting for Electro Web. You can make a pretty good argument for it, but I'm nervous about their Trick Room setups. Although I guess we do have a Mungus. Yeah, honestly, my experience playing with this team, Zacian matchups are tricky just because, all of the Pokemon are really good. So it feels hard to call, team preview 100% correct, but we'll see how things shake up. Question of the day today, by the way, I want to know what your favorite item to use in VGC is. My answer of all time would probably be the gems, especially Steel Gem Scizor way back in 2012, but a lot of fun answers to this one. Focus Sash, I think, generally is just fun because it makes so many Pokemon more viable in the format, so that's another answer. They're going to go with Rillaboom and the Moltres. Okay. I generally don't mind that. We should survive a Grassy Glide here on Suicune, so I honestly don't mind going straight for a Sacred Fire. We need to respect AV Eternatus, or sorry, AV Moltres, especially after running into that a couple days ago. So I'm just going to Tailwind turn 1 and Sacred Fire, I think. Just setting up the Pokemon that I have in the back. Rilla switches out, which is generally fine, but I expect maybe... Oh, Poly is the switch in. Okay. So that's really valuable information because at this point we know all of our opponent's Pokemon. Now I'm a little bit frustrated I didn't bring Regieleki. Would have been pretty good into all of my opponent's Pokemon here, but that's fine. You can't, once again, it is hard to get team preview completely correct, right? So we get a burn. With the Grassy Terrain, it basically negates damage, but they're going to go for a nasty plot on Moltres. Okay. Plot is definitely scary, but the thing here is that I do have Roar. It also confirms you're not Assault Vest, which is valuable information. Yeah, dealing damage to this Moltres might just be a little bit difficult, but that's okay. I'm willing here to go for a Protect. And, oh, sorry, I can't Roar and Protect at the same time, yeah. That actually makes things a little bit tricky. Honestly, I don't mind just going for Protect and Scald. The rain is up right now, so Scald will actually do okay damage. And Galarian Moltres doesn't typically have amazing recovery, so we can just slowly chip away at it. And ideally just put it in KO range from a Dynamax cannon. That was really good damage from Scald, honestly. And the burns have been great for us in this one, so we take those. Roar just wouldn't accomplish very much here because we would just take so much damage. And there's a pretty good chance we don't even get Roar off with the double up, right? So 207 down to 96. I was going to say that was a lot of damage, but that was a crit, okay. So that was, what, 111 damage? So we'll definitely take another one, especially with this Grassy Terrain. And there's Icy Wind. Okay, cool. That ends up being pretty good for us. Because of Icy Wind, though, this means that I can't really safely switch out right now. Obviously, I don't love seeing a crit, but we also got 2 burns on both their Pokemon to start, so, can't really complain. Man, the main awkward thing here is there any way I can play around activating Berserk? I guess the other hope is that, like, Extreme Speed plus Skull just KOs. What are my other options? I have Eternatus plus Landorus in the back. I don't really mind if you protect this. Honestly, I think E-Speed into Scald might KO. And even if you don't, I think it's okay. I'm just considering going for a Snarl instead. Okay, if I'm Snarling, actually, you know what I kind of like? I kind of like Extreme Speeding Politoed here and just Snarling, because Snarl would actually prevent Berserk from activating. Oh, and they protect. Okay, that also works. So now they take another turn of Burn, which makes me think E-Speed into Scald will KO Moltres this next turn. We get some free damage onto Politoed, which is also nice. So yeah, pretty cool to have a team and, you know, be able to lead Suicune into Entei. That's really fun. Okay, yeah, they go for Scald, but that's okay because with Snarl, we should take that. Nice. Rillaboom in the back is not a problem for us at all. Like, Landorus and Eternatus are both really good into it. So, obviously, my opponent's last one's going to be that Zacian. Let's see what range their Moltres is at. Just above 50%. I honestly still don't know whether or not E-Speed into Scald KOs. And I don't want to just potentially lose both Pokemon here. I'm also nervous about it being buried, but I'm going to go for it. Let's see. Because we should even take a +3. Oh, that's really good damage. If they're not buried here, Skull's going to KO. Let's see. Perfect. Okay, great. That should eliminate the Galarian-Moltres. Okay, excellent. So Nasty Plot was pretty scary, but yeah, we were able to play our way around it so that it wasn't like that strong for my opponent. So this puts us in a pretty good spot. We have the numbers advantage. The Politoed having Icy Wind definitely is a nuisance because it means I can't safely switch in Landers or Eternatus. But that's okay for now. I think the main issue here is Tailwind expiring and then Rillaboom being able to come in and then put on pressure against Suicune with any grass type attack. But Eternatus is really good for late game cleanup here. Yeah, Galarian-Moltres is honestly just a really strong Pokemon. And honestly kind of slept on still, it feels like. Which I've said before, but I honestly continue to think that is the case. They bring out Zacian. Okay. How many turns are Rainer up? It's the last turn. We don't have our Citrus anymore. We're at -2. I think here I'm honestly willing to just Sacred Fire Zacian because if you try to sub, that would break the sub. And then just Tailwind with Suicune here. I don't want to switch in Landorus yet. I'm fishing for the free switching into it right now. Okay, they actually play rough into Suicune, which I'm okay with because we survive. Beautiful. Honestly, if we get the burn here, like, that should just be game over. It's one of the other reasons I was willing to Sacred Fire, and we get the burn. I mean, Entei is just so good into Zacian. Even if we didn't get the burn, I still think we'd be in pretty good shape because I would then just get the Tailwind up with Suicune and then get a free switching into Landorus. And even though Icy Wind from Politoed's scary in terms of dealing super effective damage and dropping your speed, like, we'd still be faster than Zacian, I think. And yeah, but that's the beauty of Sacred Fire. Like, 50% chance to burn is just so good. And it punishes my opponent there for not targeting the Entei, right? So even though they had play rough, Suicune is just so bulky. And in this game, it took a +2 critical hit Fiery Wrath as well as a +1 play rough from Zacian. That's really impressive. So we've definitely gotten pretty lucky this game. We got 3 different burns between Entei and Suicune, but you know, like, one thing that I think makes this team really strong is that you're using 2 of the highest probability moves in terms of side RNG to get burns, and like, you know, it's pretty hard to inflict burns otherwise, you know, outside of these, other than obviously Will-O-Wisp. And like, so often with this team, it's like if you just get a burn onto Zacian, you're just in an amazing game-winning position. So we can bring out Landorus now. You would think Politoed would want to switch out. I have Grass Knot. Zacian should also clean up at this point. Like, if I were my opponent, I would probably protect Zacian, switch Politoed out into Rillaboom. I'm willing to just Sludge Bomb here. Yeah, and Scald into the slot. Like, Zacian just does no damage to us at this point in the game. Oh, it's actually Zacian they switch out. Okay. Pretty good switch. You're probably going to Icy Wind the Landorus now, but that's fine, right? I just protect Landorus. I wonder if Poly protects here. Also, I would think Perish Song's their third. But Sludge Bomb is fine here, right? Like, we still get pretty good damage onto it. I expect... Wow, that's actually really bulky. That was a crit and then basically did nothing. Are they not buried here? That's really interesting if that's the case. Ah, it's bulkier berry. Okay. I really wanted to Grass Knot in that position. Honestly, it might have just been the play, especially because it would have just one-shot here. But, you know, it's fine. Like, you get Icy Wind off, sure, but you're Snarled. This Politoed generally shouldn't do that much damage. Yeah, we're in okay shape here. And with the burn on Zacian, I really just don't think my opponent can deal enough damage at this point in the game, right? So here, I think what I want to do is just switch the Suicune out. And the pivotal thing right now is we're in a point where we can safely Earth Power. So I'm going to Protect here and switch out into Eternatus. Even if you say go like U-turn Icy Wind, Eternatus is just so strong for cleaning up in this late game. So yeah, Entei and Suicune were just amazing for us in this one. Now, if I didn't get that burn, I probably would have been more inclined to actually just target Lando or Zacian right away with an Earth Power. Although I guess the Landers here survives like Behemoth Blade. And then like if we Grass Knot Poly and pick up a KO as they protect or switch Zacian, that would effectively win the game for us. Well, not 100%, but it would put us in a really good spot. Okay, I'm just making the safest play here. I don't really see much reason not to go for it, especially because my opponent, if they're not U-turning here, it means they're kind of locked in and we can just Flamethrower Rillaboom and Earth Power Politoed with basically no downside. And actually, instead of Earth Power and Politoed, I think I like Grass Knotting because it should deal a good amount of damage into... Do I like Grass Knotting, actually? I'm thinking about this one a little bit. We should survive a Grassy Glide on Landorus. Most Rillabooms are Assault Vest, so I almost want to double up into Rillaboom. Okay. So last turn a Tailwind, so we're going to outspeed with both this turn. One thing we have to make sure is not losing another Pokemon, because we could potentially lose to late game Perish Song. So I think here I'm down to... Flamethrower will KO Zacian on the switch in. So yeah, I'm fine with a Sludge Bomb here and a Flamethrower into the Rillaboom. Because I don't think Rillaboom is going to have Protect in this position. Yeah, Poly protects, perfect. Alright, that should put us in a fantastic position, unless they crit Glide here. Nice, Slender survives, beautiful. Like, the key thing here is most Rillabooms are Assault Vest, so I'm playing basically with that assumption. And if they don't, this actually could have been really ugly, because they could have protected Rillaboom and then gone for an Icy Wind, which would have been really scary. But once again, like, Eternatus is just in a pretty good late game position in this game, because they don't have much damage for it. So, yeah. The beauty of the Suicune Entei lead with this team is your opponent's inability to flinch either with Fake Out, so covers for, like, Incin or Moltres. Sorry, not Incin, Moltres. We saw Moltres. Incin and Rillaboom as a lead. If I knew my opponent were going to bring this for, I'd probably drop something for Regieleki. Probably Suicune for Aleki, honestly. But there were some things that gave Aleki issues in this game, right? Like the Rillaboom and potential Trick Room from Gothitelle. Although, I honestly don't think I need to be that worried about Trick Room from Gothitelle because I have Among Us and my opponent needs to cover for that option. Okay. So I'm just going to switch Landorus out into Suicune to conserve this Intimidate, and just go for Flamethrower onto... Actually, I think I'm okay going for Dynamax Cannon here onto Politoed, because Politoed protected last turn, so it forces the game to be a 2v1 if we KO it, even if they manage to get a knockout on the Suicune here. They could go for a double. Okay, they actually go for it, which is honestly the right play. And there's Behemoth Blade. But because of the burn, like, you just really don't deal enough damage here. They actually target the Suicune slot anyway, so, okay, yeah. Even if they had got the double off, I still think we'd be in a really good position. But obviously, the burn on Zacian was really huge. The main reason I Sacred Fired that turn was because I always want to try to cover for Substitute or Swords Dance on Zacian. And once again, it's basically like it's a little bit under 50% because Sacred Fire can miss, but if you hit, right, you burn, you basically just win the game. Zacian is just so weak after a burn. Like, yeah, you have the attack boost, but with that and Landorus Intimidate, we're in a really good spot. So that's why, like, I really wanted to bring both Suicune and Entei in this game, because, like, Zacian can't KO either very easily, and both can have multiple chances to inflict burn, and a single burn will basically, you know, seal up the game for you if you're able to get an early lead, which we were able to do in this one. So yeah. This game ended up being pretty long, and the nasty plot from Moltres did end up being really scary, but fortunately for us, it just didn't really deal that much damage. And the fact, Politoed is a really interesting Pokemon, especially on that team, because it obviously sets up the rain, which decreases the fire-type weakness for Zacian, but it also honestly helped us, because Skull just ended up doing more damage. You also could make an argument for dropping Lando T for Regieleki, but it just doesn't feel right to not bring Lando T in a matchup that you're going up against Zacian, right? Because that single Intimidate just goes such a long way. And if we didn't get the burn in this game, then it would have been very different, and we would have need to rely on Intimidate even more, right? So yeah. Either way, yeah, some fun sets from my opponent there, and I think, once again, Galarian Moltres is really fun, because you can run Nasty Plot, you can run AV. I think if my opponent had, a Citrus there, things could have been really scary, because then we would have activated Berserk. They would have been at +3, and it relatively healthy, so fortunately for us, they didn't have it there, but I think, yeah, Citrus, Nasty Plot, Moltres would be a really interesting set, as well as AV, which we've run into before. So, yeah, let's look for another one. All right, next match of the day here. Oh, boy, Shuckle, Chansey. Calyrex, Togekiss, Entei, and Regieleki. Okay. Shuckle, Chansey. We have Roar on Entei, so this is by far our most important Pokemon here, but Entei is very, easily knocked out by things like that Calyrex. Calyrex is obviously really scary. I honestly think I like Regieleki into Suicune here, and then Entei with Landorus in the back. Sorry, Eternatus in the back. I don't love Amoonguss into a matchup with Calyrex Shadow Rider and the Entei and the Togekiss, and Landorus's Intimidate provides us literally no value here, because none of their Pokemon are physical attackers other than Entei, which we can't Intimidate because they're under focus, and it just doesn't deal nearly enough damage. The one reason to bring Landorus would be because it completely walls the Regieleki, but I don't think Eleki is a big enough threat where we need it here. So, yeah. Honestly, not the normal teams that you see Shuckle and Chansey on, but yeah, Roar just makes things a lot easier. If we didn't have Roar, I would completely have no game plan going into this, but the upside is even if they go for, the typical Chansey plus Shuckle strats, yeah, we can just force them out, which is good. This lead makes me really nervous. Because it honestly kind of feels like... Actually, it depends on what you do with Regieleki, whether or not you Electro Web or T-Bolt. Because we can take Electro Web into Astral Barrage. So the play I'm most inclined to make here is actually just protecting and Tailwinding. Just because if we lose a Speed type with Electro Web, and they go Electro Web Astral Barrage, we just lose Eleki, and it's super bad. Okay, good. So unless your specs here, or I don't know, Eleki I guess could be Magnet or Life Orb from their end. Okay, I think we should survive Astral Barrage here, but I'm not 100% sure about that. Yeah, and unfortunately it's just dealing with Regieleki speed test. I could have gone for, let's see if Suicune survives. Oh, that did nothing. How did that do so little? I'm actually really surprised about that, but I'll take it. Okay, cool. That's good. We still have our Berry, and we do outspeed the Calyrex. Not max speed Eleki with the Suicune right now because of the speed drop. I have Volt Switch. The problem here is they do threaten me with the double KO, which is very, very scary. You can just Electro Web and Astral Barrage again. To which I could Electro Web and Protect here. I think I like that because if you're not Scarf Calyrex, then we get good damage onto it, and then I bring in Eternatus, and I just Dynamax Cannon Regieleki, which then should KO, and then Snarl becomes single target into Calyrex. I don't think it would KO, though, so I'm not sure. Maybe I want to bring Entei out first, then. Okay, they go for a Web of their own. Yeah, this lead is just really, really oppressive. How else could I deal with it with our team? Don't love leading Eternatus. I don't love leading Amoonguss. Landorus doesn't really contribute much either. I honestly feel like this is an example where that's just the lead that really can beat anything we bring. So my opponent did a great job identifying that, right? I just don't think single target Snarl KOs them. Okay, I'm gonna bring out Eternatus, but like the question here is, if you're my opponent, do you protect that Calyrex? I have 2 turns of Tailwind to work with. See, the thing is, if they protect and I just Dynamax Cannon to KO this, they're in an awful position. I guess they theoretically could have Togekiss in the back. I'm honestly going to make the read that they don't protect Calyrex and just Dynamax Cannon here. Because even if they do, the subsequent turn, I can still just Dynamax Cannon it anyway. It's mainly because it has a special attack boost and can just end the game potentially by KOing both Pokemon. Yeah. So I'm going to Dynamax Cannon Calyrex. Ah, they do protect though. Okay, that's a frustrating turn because I feel like I have to cover for it. There is one play, I guess, which is protecting Eternatus. It's still okay, I think. Yeah, the issue is just Gyarados. It's like it's just so speedy here, right? Now I get Entei in though, right? So I can just Sacred Fire, Regieleki, Dynamax Cannon the Calyrex, but the problem is that Calyrex here now might switch out if you're my opponent. So it's a frustrating turn because the play I wanted to make, which is Dynamax Cannon and Snarl there, is pretty strong. But, like, if Gyarados protects, if they make the crazy read of Gyarados protecting and Astral Barraging, we probably just lose the game right there and then. So that is not a risk I want to take, right? We're at -1, so do we outspeed Gyarados still? No, we don't, if they're max speed. So the problem is I almost feel forced to Sacred Fire at this, but if they have Togekiss in the back, you can just protect the Gyarados and then switch this out into Togekiss. Okay. I am going to... You should switch out Calyrex here. I'm going to Sludge Bomb this, expecting a Togekiss switch in and Sacred Fire into a Gyarados. Yeah, there's a switch. Okay, so that's good. It's Chansey. They don't protect Gyarados though, which I guess is good. So we get a knockout onto that. Okay, I feel like if you had Togekiss, you would have switched it in there, so that makes me think they don't have it. It's just dealing with Ally Switch now, potentially, on Chansey. Yeah, had we just Dynamax Cannon there, Suicune would have been around, and then we would have then just been able to Dynamax Cannon safely with really no threat whatsoever. The thing is, now I have to play around Ally Switch from the Chansey as well, which is really scary. As well as Calyrex just protecting this turn. And losing Suicune means I can't get another Tailwind up, which is rather unfortunate. The obvious play for me to make here is to protect and Sacred Fire into Calyrex. I think I'm just going to go for it. It's just like they could protect Calyrex here. Yeah. I mean, Chansey... I guess Toxics. I could have gone Dynamax Cannon Sacred Fire into Chansey there. I also, like, this Calyrex just did so little with that Astral Barrage. Okay, they go for Seismic Toss, yeah. I mean, they played really well with the protects on Calyrex in this game, and it's like, that's the problem. Calyrex is just so strong that even though the protects were, like, maybe a little bit obvious, I still can't play around it very easily. And us not having a Ghost Resist means Astral Barrage just gets spammed really freely, right? So they got a great lead. I didn't want to risk a Speed Tie on turn 1. We got the Tailwind up, but the problem is just not having safe switch into Astral Barrage at any point. In this game, I just honestly needed to make hard reads, and they got both of the big turns with Calyrex correct in this one. So kudos to them. I think we could survive an Astral Barrage here, honestly, but not an Astral Barrage plus a Seismic Toss. I'm going to opt for the double here, I think, and just Sacred Fire into Calyrex. I don't even think Sacred Fire KOs, honestly, especially because I'd assume they have some bulk, but we actually do get the double protect off. Okay. So playing towards our outs here. And they Psyshock. That's actually huge if Sacred Fire manages to KO. I just don't think it does. So close. Do we get a burn? We get the burn, but the problem is they doesn't even faint. They minimize, yeah. Unless we somehow survive Psyshock on Eternatus. Oh, it's Healer. Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, I'm gonna just Dynamax Cannon and Sacred Fire into Calyrex here. I guess I could go for a triple protect. I would assume Side Shot KOs. Calyrex is just so strong. Yeah, it does get the knockout. That is probably one of the toughest matchups for Eternatus, and especially for this team specifically. Honestly, if they don't have Regieleki, though, it's actually a lot easier, but it was mainly the Regieleki that was the issue. Because I just can't outspeed my opponent in this matchup. And by leading Regieleki, they cover for us dropping their Calyrex-S speed. So, yeah, like, the turn that I could make the obvious Sacred Fire play into Regieleki, and then Snarl would have worked out perfectly, because then we would have just knocked out the Regieleki, and then the Suicune would stick around. And then they'd have to bring in... Yeah, I'm curious what their fourth one is. It was Togekiss. Oh, that's really interesting. Okay. So, like, Eternatus... If Aleki fainted, Eternatus would have been in a really commanding position, because we could just Sludge Bomb everything. But, yeah. They played well. And it's not the easiest matchup for us here. It's not bad damage from Sacred Fire. Another burn. Our burn rate has been incredible with these Pokemon today. But unfortunately, it's a little bit too late, I would say. It's Crit Kiss, too. Or maybe it's not, but higher probability of it, given that it crit immediately. Chansey was a good braying, honestly, too, because we didn't have good super effective damage with it at all. And Roar, like, isn't that helpful when you have to focus on dealing damage to your opponent's Pokemon. So, yeah. It's just tough, because, you know, I guess, like, maybe I shouldn't have made the safe play, because, like, this matchup is already pretty bad for us. Or sorry, I shouldn't have made... No, actually, I mean, I made the aggressive play. No, I really don't regret that too much. But I guess, like... I'm trying to think if I could have done anything else different Pokemon-wise, but I don't know, Landorus... Maybe Landorus just to knock out Aleki, but if they're Focus Sash, like, it doesn't really even matter much. I could have Snarled immediately with Suicune rather than Tailwinding, but I think it's more important to get speed control up. Protect Tailwind. I could have Volt Switch, but then I just take an Electro Web and Astral Barrage on whatever switches in, so that doesn't feel correct. So, yeah, Aleki plus Calyrex is just super, super strong as a lead. But you're not going to have good matchups into everything, right? And that duel specifically is just generally really strong into what we're using. So my opponent not only, you know, had the recognition to lead it and made the correct play there with it, but then also played really well with it and, you know, throughout the game. So yeah, props to them. And we definitely have chances to win the game. Like if I did end up just Dynamax canning the Regieleki, would have KO'd it. They'd have to switch in Togekiss or the Chansey. If Togekiss comes out, then I'd probably Sludge Bomb Snarl. It's still even a tough position from there, because then Togekiss could just protect. Calyrex is just so strong. But, okay. Next game here, we're up into an opposing Eternatus team. Our Eternatus is really good, generally. Stack is a little bit scary from their end. Gyarados is popping up everywhere. Typically T-Wave stuff. I feel like Amoonguss is generally valuable here, especially because so many Gyaradoses like try to stop it by taunting. I just don't know what 4 Pokemon I really want here. Part of me feels compelled to bring Landorus. I mean, Landorus does so much super effective damage, actually. I think we have to bring it. Lando and Amoonguss is pretty compelling to me here, because even if we get a single Spore off, we're in a really good spot. Eternatus in the back. I kind of want a Aleki here, just because it one-shots Gyarados. Otherwise, Gyarados can be kind of a pain to deal with. Suicune's not bad into Incin stack. But because we have Focus Sash, I'm actually down for Regieleki. What it also allows me to do is Electro Web their Eternatus, so then our Eternatus can just outspeed. Which is a really critical component, so yeah. Yeah, in that last game, there's no safe way to play it, but we had 2 big turns we could have capitalized off of. Although, honestly, even if we doubled up on Chansey, the turn Eternatus is protected, I don't think we'd really be in a very good position anyway, unfortunately. Okay, this is a really good lead. Because I have a free Earth Power and Spore into stack. Yeah, that's really good. Okay, cool. The main thing here is that they're just going to generally have trouble KOing Lando. Or sorry, Amoonguss. Most Stakatakas don't carry Protect. So if you're my opponent, you would probably switch Stack out into something like Take Earth Power, that's Togekiss or Gyarados, and then fake out Amoonguss. But I'm okay with that trade-off in this position. I'm gonna go for the safest play possible because forcing Stakataka out means, like, then my opponent just doesn't have great Amoonguss answers turn 2, and they don't switch it. So it's just gonna be fake out into Landorus. Safety goggles. Okay. Not surprising. There's typically goggles on something in comps like this, but it's gonna make things a lot trickier for us, unfortunately. We have Pollen Puff, but if you're my opponent, you could just easily Grassy Glide and Gyro Ball Lando right now. Okay, goggles. That, you can see how much of a difference a single item, which is relevant to the question of the day, completely can swing a matchup, right? It's kind of cool to see that. Alright, I am just going to Earth Power stack here, and I guess Pollen Puff into... Like, I can't Rage Powder or Spore either slot right now. Oh, interesting. They didn't go for, Glide, which means I actually could have Pollen Puff Landorus. I could have really capitalized off their misplay here. And it's because they have Wood Hammer, yeah. Pollen Puff there honestly puts us in an amazing position. So I actually did a lot into their Amoonguss, into their Rillaboom, which was nice to see. So much to the point where I don't think another KOs. It's close, but yeah. Yeah, if we heal, because the main thing is now I can't knock out Stack easily. They probably just weren't confident in Glide plus Gyro Ball KOing, but... And, like, I feel like a lot of people don't really consider the Pollen Puff option in a position like that. I am just going to Protect and Puff here into Rillaboom, I think. The key thing here is basically trying to stall out Trick Room and then going from there. And the other good thing is this next turn... oh, Rilla has Protect. Okay. That's fine. What we're trying to do is stall out Trick Room, and I can take a Gyro Ball on the Eternatus right now and then heal that damage back with Self-Pollen Puff. I just didn't want to Self-Pollen Puff because, the turn with Lando, because then if they just Glide and Gyro Ball and that KOs, which it should, like, we're just in such a bad spot, right? Where I don't even get any damage off. But I guess damage on Rillaboom isn't really that important anyway. Okay, so I'll go for Flamethrower onto stack here because I need damage onto it and then Pollen Puff into Eternatus. Rillaboom might have high horsepower or knockoff here, and I'm worried that plus Gyro Ball just KOs Eternatus. But they switch out. Okay, that's good. And a Gyarados, which I'm fine with. It's a free Spore target. And I'll just heal back all the damage you do with Gyro Ball and then Protect again. But I don't even know if 2 Life Orb Flamethrowers KO Stakataka, which is wild. Okay, there's Gyro Ball. You know what? That actually did a lot less damage than I expected. I know we intimidated it, but still, I'm actually pleasantly surprised by that. So, that's good. Nice. Let's see how much Life Orb Flamethrower does in a stack here. Just under half. Okay. I guess I'm okay with that for now. Because it is the last turn of Trick Room. So your Gyro Ball won't KO us. We can Flamethrower very safely into this slot. And then very safely Spore into Gyarados. Now the main thing is that my opponent may switch out Gyarados into Rillaboom. But even if you switch out into Rillaboom, you can't cover for that easily. Then it would offer you Fake Out into Eternatus and another Trick Room the subsequent turn. But then I could just heal Eternatus again. The main thing is you'd be getting rid of your Intimidate. Could read into the Rillaboom switch in and just go for the knockout. I do think they switch into Rilla here. I'm going to go for the Spore Plane of Gyarados. Yeah. That's okay, though. Like, having Pollen Puff just helps a lot here right now, because, like, although I guess, yeah, if we... Oh, they actually offer Rock Slide, and Amoonguss dodges it. Okay. Cool, I'll take that. Yeah, they're pretty bulky. They're really doing no damage to us right now. Like, if we knocked out the Rillaboom here, the main thing is then Amoonguss becomes more effective. Ooh, that was so much damage. Does Pollen Puff KO Stakataka? There's no way, right? Terrain disappears. It's generally as good. I don't know, it's so low. I could just target Rillaboom instead. I don't know. I would really expect Stack to survive, but if it KOs, we're in an amazing position, so I'm willing to try it out here. Even if it doesn't, it's not the end of the world. Oh. Well, that works too. I wonder if they were just reading into Eternatus protecting there? Okay. I guess Stack could have Protect here. Nice. Maybe they're just reading into Flamethrower onto the Rilla. Yeah, that switch actually is really surprising, but I'm very happy to see it, so I'm not going to complain here. Okay. So we have a Lecky in the back. That's going to be really critical in not only KOing Gyarados, but also dropping their Eternatus' speed, because that could come out right now, which it does. Now, I have a free Dynamax Cannon. Like, Rage Powder into Dynamax Cannon is quite safe. But obviously, Eternatus on their end could protect. But the thing is, Gyarados does nothing into Amoonguss, unless you have Ice Fang, but at best, it's a taunt. So here, because we have Mentor, I am willing to just make the safe play of Dynamax Cannon plus Rage Powder. Especially because they're not Assault Vest on Rillaboom, right? Because you're not AV, then Amoonguss can actually 1v1 it. And they actually don't protect Eternatus, and we just outspeed. Okay, cool. Yeah, the beginning of the game was really hard to play, honestly, but the last two turns, like, could not have gone any better. And the key thing here is that once their Stakataka is down, they don't have a switch into Dynamax Cannon. So, yeah, really surprised they didn't just go Fake Out and try to set up Trick Room again. Whoa, Avalanche! So they actually did have an Ice-type attack. Okay. But even then, you can see that it doesn't even do 50%, so it's not really that much of an issue. Okay, that should just secure us the win, I think. What we can do this next turn, I think, is just double protect, block the Fake Out, and then just Sludge Bomb, Rillaboom, Spore, and a Gyarados. Because, like, once again, because you don't have... Wait, double protect here. Actually, it's probably to just Rage Powder with the Amoonguss to redirect that Avalanche, and then just KO Rillaboom, force them to protect, and need a double protect to... Actually, they would need a triple protect, effectively. Yeah. Also, our Eternatus outsped, which is really nice. Avalanche on Gyarados is a really cool move, though. I assume you use it specifically for the Landos, so you can just one-shot them. Normally when I see Gyarados, I assume like Rocky Helmet, T-Way, Waterfall, Taunt, Protect. But Avalanche is actually a really smart tech move. Yeah, they didn't bring Togekiss in this game, but we knew that as soon as we confirmed their 4 Pokemon. Yeah, I mean, Sludge Bomb into Rage Powder here is an obvious play, but as you can see, Gyarados just doesn't deal that much damage to Amoonguss. Even a crit Avalanche probably doesn't KO us, so even though the Rillaboom probably protects here, it's fine. Because, like, then the next turn, I'm just going to Rage Powder, Sludge Bomb, Rillaboom again, right? And even if you get 2 Avalanches and KO the Amoonguss, that's still fine. Because then you would need a... Actually, even with the triple protect, we have Sashaleki, so then we just T-Bolt. Yeah, like, there's literally no reason to not just go for Rage Powder, Sludge Bomb, Rage Powder, Sludge Bomb. Because even if you get a triple protect with Rillaboom, it just gives us the free switch into Regieleki, and then Thunderbolt would just KO Gyarados. So, like, I could Dynamax Cannon into the Gyarados here, but we know that Regieleki is a guaranteed win condition against the Gyarados, right? So, why not just focus on KOing the one Pokemon that threatens the Regieleki and Rillaboom? Yeah. There are probably multiple different ways we could play this endgame, because they just don't have that much damage at this point, and the Rage Powder is just so handy. But, yeah, you can see how much of a difference Safety Goggles on Stack made, right? If they don't have Goggles there... we are just in such a fantastic position with the lead that we had. So now the question I'm wondering is, okay, should I have had a better lead to cover for Goggles? But I think the reality is with the Amoonguss, you just bring it and you just got to play assuming there's a Goggle somewhere on your opponent's team, right? So, yeah, Avalanche in the end here is a 3 at KO. That's my first time seeing it in Series 10 or even in Sword and Shield, at least from what I remember. And this is why I wanted Gyarados in the back. It was a pretty good late game cleanup against both Gyarados and Togekiss, both which I wanted to cover for here. So, yeah. I'm really surprised about the turn my opponent just switched the Rillaboom out into Gyarados. Like, I feel like maybe there's a good chance they could survive Pollen Puff in that position. Then you get another Trick Room up at least. But then even then, like, a self-healing was really valuable for us here. The one turn I'm a little bit frustrated about was the turn that I, you know, didn't manage to self-Pollen Puff the Landers. But once again, I think, like, most players would glide and Gyro Ball in that position. And so, you know, if you do glide and Gyro Ball there, you get the KO, then I just completely waste a turn. And then the Pollen Puff there, that turn, basically told us they weren't AV, which is why I shouldn't have been surprised that they had Protect. I was like, whoa, that's surprising. But yeah, as soon as you know they're not AV, you almost always have Protect. So yeah, that was definitely a really fun set of games. You know, I think the first one we definitely got fairly lucky with the Scald Burns and the Sacred Fire Burns. It was generally just a really interesting matchup. The second one, we went up against a pretty tough matchup. My opponent executed really, really well. I really think they brought the best Pokemon into it as well. And so, yeah, that happens, right? Like, once again, it is impossible for a team really to cover for every combination and, like, you know, of Pokemon that your opponent can bring. And sometimes in team preview, it's just your work is going to be cut out for you, right? My opponent not only identified the right combo to go with, but also executed it really well. And there were, like, the main turn I could have done better was basically the Dynamax Cannon to Gyarados plus the Snarl. But that turn was basically, it felt very coin flippy, where if I get it wrong, I will just lose the game. And I think there's some players that might play risky and protect Gyarados and Astral Barrage there. So if they actually had gone for that, like, that's almost a throw, right? Where we would actually probably insta-win the game on that turn. So that's a gamble that I'm willing to take, honestly, and it didn't work out for us, but it's okay, right? You're not always going to call things correctly. And then in the third game here, it was definitely back and forth. You know, Stack hanging on from those two Flamethrowers, having enough recovery for that Grassy Terrain, but that one turn where they opted to not even try to Trick Room, or maybe they did, but yeah, they didn't cover for me just doubling up onto Stack, and not going for Fake Out there, put us in a really, really good spot. Because as soon as Trick Room doesn't go up, and then they also had a slower Eternatus, which made things even easier, and then didn't protect it. So, like, those two turns back-to-back just completely won us the game, whereas it was, like, relatively even before then. But you could see the value of Pollen Puff here. It meant that we could actually bring Eternatus and use it under Trick Room, while still being able to sustain, which was really nice. So, yeah. Really fun set of games. I had a lot of fun with this team, and I think Eternatus in general is just a really cool Pokemon. It's not always going to win, and definitely like has some shaky matchups across the board, but it, you know, I would tier it right under, you know, the top most consistent ones in Zacian, Kyogre, Calyrex, and Xerneas. So yeah, glad to, you know, be able to feature this one. So thanks again to Wolfe for the team. Thanks to you all as always for watching. Leave a like if you enjoy, and I'll see you all soon. All right, peace.